Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drahon, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Character Conversion. We take a look at characters from across media and bring them into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as a playable character. We are back once again with the LJN toy line? Yeah, I think that was it. With the evil heavy hitters. The first of the three evil heavy hitters that we'll be covering is the fire giant, Mettaflame. This one was definitely an interesting one, even though we don't have much lore on the guy. He was pretty much the main threat in the toy line, next to the two other giants, Pulveri, the Cyclops, and the Ogre King. Mettaflame was sort of the boss, kind of right under the Tiamat playset. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with our point-buy system. 15 for our strength and constitution, 11 for our charisma, and dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom will all be at a 10. Surprise to no one, our race is going to end up being a Goliath, since we are trying to make a giant. And we're going to be using the stat sheet for Fire Giant of Evil Fire, found in Bigby's Glory of the Giants. So, like I said, Goliath. This will give us a +1 to our strength, constitution, and charisma. We are also going to be a size of medium, have a walking speed of 30 feet. We will have access to the features of Little Giant, Mountain Born, and Stone's Endurance, with languages being common and one other. I would recommend probably, I don't know, Ogre? Well, they probably use the giant language, so maybe Orc, since you're most likely in communication with the League of Malevolence. For our background, no surprise to no one, giant foundling. With proficiencies in intimidation and survival, we will have languages in giant and Ignan. Going for the fire giant of evil fire is mostly just speculation. It is stated in his character description that he is immune to fire and dragon breath. We'll get to that part at the end of the video, but the most important thing is that, yes, he's a fire giant, so he's of course going to be resistant to fire, which we will be sure to have a feat for that. But in order to do that, we need Giant Foundling Strike of the Giants to give us access to Fire Strike, allowing us to deal an extra 1d10 fire damage with our melee attacks, or our thrown weapon attacks. Moving on to our class, of course, Barbarian. You know the drill. 1d12 hit dice, starting hit points of 12 plus your constitution modifier. Every time you level up, you'll get bonus hit points equal to 1d12 plus your constitution modifier per Barbarian level after the first. Your proficiencies are in light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons. Your saving throw proficiencies are in strength and constitution. For your skills, athletics and perception. You also get access to rage and unarmored defense. At level 2, you get access to reckless attack and danger sense. At level 3 Barbarian, you will have primal knowledge. We'll just go ahead and give ourselves another proficiency in the nature skill. For your primal path, obviously, we need the Path of the Giant. We get access to Giant's Power, giving us access to one more language of choice, since we already have access to Language of Giants. For our cantrip, it doesn't really matter. We'll just keep the Druidcraft cantrip, since it's pretty much the same as Thaumaturgy. But honestly, now that I think of it, why don't we just go with Thaumaturgy? It makes a little bit more sense, given that we are a fire giant of evil fire. We'll also get access to Giant's Havoc, giving us access to Crushing Throw and Giant's Stature. Moving on to level 4, we are going with the feat of Ember of the Fire Giant, increasing our constitution to a 17, giving us resistance to fire damage and Searing Ignition. Very similar to the explosion feature that the Fire Giant of Evil Fire has. We could have just gone with a normal Fire Giant, but I thought of the Fire Giant of Evil Fire just looked cooler. Moving on to level 5 Barbarian, we have extra attack and fast movement, typical for a Barbarian. Moving on to level 6, we get access to Elemental Cleaver. You're mostly going to be using this for fire damage. Level 7, you get access to Feral Instinct and Instinctive Pounce. Level 8 Barbarian, you'll go ahead and increase your strength by 2 points. Level 9, you get access to Brutal Critical. Level 10, Primal Knowledge once again. We'll just go ahead and get it. Get Animal Handling as a proficiency. And we also get access to Mighty Impel. Level 11, Relentless Rage. Level 12, go ahead and increase your Constitution by 2 points, making it a 19. Level 13, Brutal Critical gets 2 dice now instead of just 1. Level 14, Demiurgic Colossus, thanks to your Giant subclass. Level 15, you get Persistent Rage. Level 16, go ahead and max out your strength to a 20. Level 17, Brutal Critical now has 3 dice. That's level 18, you get Indomitable Might. Level 19, we are going to go with a feat instead of an ability score improvement. I have 2 options for you, and they're pretty similar to what the Evil Giant of Fire has. The first one is the Magic Initiate. We're going with the Sorcerer. This will give us access to 2 cantrips from the Sorcerer spell list and 1 first level spell. Firebolt is very similar to the Bolt of Imix, being a 120-foot range spell attack that does fire damage. We are also going with Green Flame Blade because we do not have access to Branding Smite. As much as I would love to have Branding Smite, it would have fit perfectly with the Evil Fire Giant's feature of being able to make an invisible creature visible so long it is branded by Branding Smite. But alas, we cannot do that. If I wanted to, I could have multi-classed into Paladin, or have gotten a different background that would have given us access to Branding Smite. But Branding Smite is a 2nd level spell, which means we would have to go deep into the Paladin levels, and I did not want to do that for this build as I wanted the level 20 feature from Barbarian. For our first level spell, we are going with Absorb Elements. This is very similar to the ability that is hinted at for Mettaflame, and that is that he has immunity to Dragon's Breath. It's more of a resistance, really, since we don't have access to immunity. But that is where our secondary option for a feat comes in, and that is Gift of the Chromatic Dragon. Gift of the Chromatic Dragon has an ability to where you can use your reaction to have resistance against a particular elemental type that you are hit with, so long as it's one of the elemental types that is associated with a dragon. Cold, lightning, acid, poison, fire. So you would have your resistance to Dragon's Breath, just like Mettaflame. So I think this would be a better feat to have than magic initiate, even though it gives us the spells for the Fire Giant of Evil Fire. I think this works a little bit better. And I am sure if you ask your DM nicely, you can get a special magic item that associates yourself with the evil elemental fire lord Imix to give yourself access to Firebolt and Branding Smite. I think there's actually a weapon that does that. I don't know. Anyway, you get your Chromatic Infusion, which lets you deal some extra damage equal to 1d4 of the chosen type you deal, most likely fire. And like I said, that reactive resistance. Very useful. And finally, at level 20, we get access to Primal Champion, increasing our strength and our constitution each by 4, giving us a new maximum for those two stats being 24. Even though Constitution's 23 now. Still got a little bit of room to grow if we had more boosts, which we don't. What did you think of this build? Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you go more towards the Fire Giant of Evil Fire, or would you pick a different type of Fire Giant for your version of Mettaflame? Until next time, this has been Drehan, and I am offline.